To welcome in former ICE director during the Obama administration, John Sandweg. John, great to see you again. All right, so let's talk about this ruling yesterday. Did the Supreme Court give the Trump administration a significant, if not a full win with this ruling?
For the moment, the answer is yes, Nichole, but there's a lot of litigation yet to come in the case. What the court, as Alina just said, basically did was said the venue was wrong, that it shouldn't have been filed in D.C. in the first place. Moreover, what the court said is this case was brought as a class action, so all the Venezuelans who were deported in one case. The court said that these need to go forward as individual, what are called habeas cases filed in the Texas courts. So what's going to happen next is the Trump administration is going to try to ramp up some additional flights, but per the Supreme Court's order, they first have to tell the migrants that they're going to be sent to Venezuela or to El Salvador, and then give them an opportunity to file this habeas case in the district court. So a lot of litigation to come, but certainly for the moment, this is a victory for the Trump administration.
All right. So, John, the ruling did not address the constitutionality of using this Alien Enemies Act to send those migrants to that prison in El Salvador, the ones who are already there. So what does it mean for those men potentially?
That's a difficult question because what the court referenced was that Texas was the appropriate venue because that's where the individuals are being detained. Of course, there's over 250 people now being detained in El Salvador. So the Supreme Court didn't discuss whether or not those people still have the ability to go to a federal court for review. I think, Nichole, what's important to note about all of this is the Supreme Court is not done with this case. For the moment, in a way, they just kind of kicked the can down the road. They said that the D.C. court was not the proper venue, so they basically foreclosed the D.C. court action, moved everything to Texas, and now the cases will start over again. We're going to see individual lawsuits being filed in Texas. The Texas courts will decide, make rulings. It'll go up to the appellate court, but it's headed back to the Supreme Court. But that really is a big question because it's unclear whether those who've been sent to El Salvador will have the ability to challenge their removal in a U.S. federal court.
All right, so I want to talk to you, John, about this fines or these possible fines. This new reporting, the administration plans to fine migrants under deportation orders up to nearly $1,000 every single day if they fail to leave the U.S. and to seize their property if they do not pay that money. Do you think, John, this will cause more people to self-deport if this does go through? Because we know that's what the administration is really advising them to do.
Yeah, Nichole, a lot of the administration's actions here are designed to self-deport. It is going to be incredibly hard to do a mass deportation with 10, 11, 12 million people. So I think the administration recognizes that, and they're putting a lot of pressure on the migrants who are unlawfully present in the U.S. to try to get them to leave. The fines are part of it. Now, Nichole, the problem here is that how do you collect the money? I hear they might do some seizures, and sure, in certain cases they might, but generally these are really poor people, and more importantly is when they take them, when they actually catch them, the primary focus will be on deporting them, not collecting funds from them. But I agree with you. This is part of this larger effort where the administration is really open about it, right? We want to just put pressure on the immigrant community so people self-deport because the more people that leave, the less deportations we'll have to do ourselves.
And last question for you. Yesterday, the highest court also paused that order requiring the administration to bring back that Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to that El Salvador mega prison. Do you think he is ultimately brought back to the U.S., which is something that the administration is saying, hey, he's no longer in our custody, we can't do it?
I hesitate to say yes. Yeah. I think the Supreme Court is going to vacate that court's order on similar grounds to the D.C. action. And then the case will get refiled or transferred over to Texas. This all comes down, Nichole, though, to bigger questions and even the fate of these migrants, right? This all boils down to, and I think part of the reason, again, being my amateur assumption here with the Supreme Court is they want to push back the day when it becomes a choice between the president refusing to follow a federal court's order. So, again, I think that case is going to have to start back at the beginning. We'll see how the Texas courts react. One of the reasons why this is a win for the Trump administration is the judges in Texas tend to be more conservative than the judges, in D.C. Certainly the appellate courts are. But I think the fate of that individual remains to be seen in large part because of this issue of whether or not, as people who are in this prison in El Salvador are really in U.S. custody or are they really in El Salvador in custody. But again, more litigation to come. And I think the answer remains to be seen. All right.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.